How's it going, guys? It's Joe. Welcome to the channel. I'm pretty excited to say that I've now officially had time to make footage of my GAC. We are currently in the second round, or the first round of our second set of GAC, as I am 2 out of 3 in my first set. Unfortunately, I lost in the finals, but now we're going to be looking at going against this gent here. Unfortunately, I can't pronounce his name. However, we're going to be doing our double fleet battles. So how are you guys feeling about the fleets? I know I'm a bit iffy about it, as I wasn't prepared for that and I wasn't paying too much attention to fleets, to be honest. And it's not really my expertise or what I like to play. However, looking at this guy's roster and mods, we are pretty matched up. He's got more +10 speed mods. He's got a solid lifetime banners. And he has hit Kyber a bunch of times before as well. So looking at the stats here, he has a solid amount of defensive holds, which tells me he does pretty well on defense. Although based on when I had a look at his GAC history, he does like to keep or hold on to both his Galactic Legends. However, as you can see on the screen this time around, he decided to place both Galactic Legends in the front row. We've got Rey here at the top, and his Kylo Ren is by the bottom walls. So I've been working on this counter here with Vader, and really I've been swapping it around to either Throne lead or Vader lead, depending on if they had Malak in that Rey lineup. And oftentimes these days people like to place a high tenacity Rey, which really negates this counter, as you're not able to place any dots on this Rey. So now we're going to be going up against a Rey with the 3 tank lineup. We're going to use the Merciless Massacre, and we're going to try and apply as many dots as we possibly can. Hopefully apply ability blocks on the way. And looking at it here, you're about to see I've got Traya here in the back, which means I'm only going to be able to isolate one of these tanks. So I place Fear on Zalbar. And now I'm going to place the Bactoid Shield onto Thrawn. I'm going to pass this turn onto Traya, and I'm going to choose to isolate L3 here, as he can be one of the most annoying taunts out of the 3. And although Zalbar has more relic levels, he's got 17 debuffs at the moment, so I'm able to drop him with my Culling Blade. And now really we're going to be working on Rey here. Now the issue here is that typically we don't let Rey get to her ultimate. However, we didn't have a choice here, so I thought to myself, at the very least I should be able to drop Finn and 2-shot this team. So Rey does get into her ultimate. Fortunately, we were somewhat prepared for that, as our characters are pretty decently relicked and we've got a fair bit of health and protection on them, which means we should be able to survive the ultimate here. And we were able to drop the Finn, so that they're not going to be able to apply too much damage at this point. And we're just working our way up with those dot points, and we finally get to that fracture. And as we did have Isolate on L3, we were lucky enough that those dots procced on Holdo as she took a turn, and that opened up that window for us to be able to fracture Rey. Now at this point I'm going to use Merciless. I've got 19 debuffs on Rey, so I'm finally able to use my Culling Blade there for 900k damage. So I'm pretty happy with the result there. That counter is very reliable. However, there's so many factors that you've got to think about and factor in when you're utilizing that counter. So just some things to keep in mind. And in the bottom walls, of course, he's got the Kylo Ren here, and I've been working on this counter. And it was really difficult for me to decide who I wanted to place in the 5th slot here, as there's not a lot of characters that have higher health and protection than 5s. So really I didn't have a choice but to add Luke on this team. So it's a pretty expensive lineup going against Kylo Ren. However, it had to be done. I have a low protection gas, so he's going to drop from that second ability from Kylo Ren. The opposing team's going ham on our rebels here. So we're going to pass this turn onto Luke, apply tenacity down and speed down on that stormtrooper. And now we're going to do the second ability from Chewie here and dispel that taunt. We're going to stun all the people here. And at this point we're still stuck behind this taunt, so we're just going to drop first order stormtrooper with a basic here. Once that's done, we want to get rid of Hux as he supplies Kylo Ren with turn meter. And this Kylo Ren is no joke, he's doing a ton of damage, drops gas with that basic. And now we're still stuck behind this taunt. We just want to get or use a basic here and dispel that taunt. And now we're going to drop old Daka here. And really once she's down, the zombie can't revive. So that's really the goal. We're going to apply our armor shred. And we're going to drop this Kylo Ren here. With a pretty decent amount of banners too. And I'm actually really glad that's worked out, as I've had trouble with that particular lineup in the past. Having the Night Sisters, and oftentimes they add Darth Revan in that lineup as well, make it just so tricky to beat. And at the bottom front here, he did place his resistance team as well. So I used my Padme with Shakti just for the added speed. I do like to place Shakti's third ability on Anakin at the beginning of the battle, just to make him that more survivable. And now that we're at this point, I really want to drop Han Solo here, as if I drop Chewie first, he would use his AoE and potentially steal a bunch of banners. Now once I did drop Han, Chewie went crazy, but we had a taunt on our GK and he was able to catch that damage that Chewie threw out. So really still doing pretty decently in terms of banners. And we're going for a really reliable counter here, as we did keep our JTR team for this Kylo Ren matchup. As you guys well know, we really just want to control this team and want to be able to drop the Executioner for, early on. And it's nice having Major Tom here, as he does apply a ton of exposes, which just allows our team to ramp up in terms of turn meter. And eventually we're just going to slow this down and regain a bunch of our health and protection. And now here comes the point where we're able to apply our healing immunity onto OG Kylo. We're going to keep them under control here. And really this is one of the reasons I dislike placing Kylo Ren unmasked on defense these days. As if you don't place Hux with Kylo Ren unmasked, or even Red Trooper, it's really easy to be able to use Jedi Training Rey against that team. Looking at the leftover teams here, it was actually quite tricky for me to decide which team I was going to use, as I broke through my gas team. Not only that, I utilized my rebels as well against that Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. So I'm really forced to use the bugs here. Fortunately though, this Count Dooku is gear 12, so we're able to get rid of him fairly quickly, as well as this Droideka. So Asajj dispels our buffs there. So we're going to go and take out Asajj really quickly, as we've still got damage immunity on Jango. Jango goes for that big hit, however I didn't apply enough damage. And I did try and drop Nest there in the one go, which didn't work out, as it's a pretty decently relicked up Nest. Jango revives. We're able to apply ability block here as well. And now I've got a chance to just obliterate Nest. And although I did have low bannerage in this particular matchup, I was just happy to one-shot it, as I know with using bugs against Nest, it can be quite iffy as well, depending on when Nest takes her turn. So I wanted to make sure she didn't have any protection up. In the back walls, he did place his bugs on defense. So I'm quite fortunate that I didn't break through my Jedi Knight Revan team here. And I did see that Poggle is gear 12, so we're going to go straight for that Poggle. And the rest of the team seems to be fairly relicked up. I believe they're all about relic 5. And as long as we keep stealing that stealth from Spy, we should be a-okay here. All the bugs take a turn. They're doing a decent amount of damage on Revan here, and they're able to proc Savior. And now I'm going to work on the soldier in the back. And we are applying a decent amount of damage, and my Yoda is doing really well. And now we can finally go for Sunfac here. Though it didn't do enough damage there, not quite. So we're going to go for Brood Alpha instead. And now we just wanted to make sure we had the 60 banner win. And this is the funny part, as Spy actually obliterates my Hermit Yoda, and I didn't even realize as I was in the moment that Hermit Yoda was gone, as I thought he was still under stealth and had foresight. And that's how I lost the 3 banners there, unfortunately. So I did still have my Darth Revan and Sith here. And this Mon Mothma team can be quite tricky if you underestimate it. As you can see, they did quite a number on my Nihilus, and he is now gone. At this point, I got a little bit worried. Although my Scion is doing pretty decently, as he was able to apply a ton of pain out on the field. We're able to drop one of the rebels. And now we've got Taunt on our Scion, and he's catching all the oncoming damage, which is pretty good. And ultimately we did lose a couple of banners in this matchup as well. At least more than I would have liked. And Mon Mothma stole 6 of my banners there. And here's where it gets interesting, guys, as if you all know, I actually skip out on my ship battles as I don't really focus too well on my ships. I've got a decent number of capital ships, although what this exercise has really made me realize is that I really should be focusing on my ships. I mean, more so not only just about the fleet arena climbs, but also for GAC, now that we place 2 fleets on defense. So this particular lineup that I'm utilizing against this negotiator, I don't even use very often in my fleet arena climb. Although I must say I actually enjoyed this battle now that I've learned more about how this particular fleet matchup works. And utilizing Malevolence on offense is actually quite fun. So here I've contemplated quite a bit, but I really needed to stun the taunting tank here, as I didn't want him to take a turn. And now I'm going to apply all the buzz droids and try and stun Anakin as well. So it worked out pretty well at the beginning. Now I'm going to call Spy. And we got our force mark on, or force taunt on Anakin. So we're able to get rid of him early on. But as you can see, he had that lineup where he had Rex, Anakin, and the BLT from the get-go. And that just allows him to be able to get to his bombers really quickly. So as you can see, I think it was about the 2nd or 3rd turn he had the bombers ready. And now we're just stuck behind the taunts and working around them. Although really the ultimate goal with the Malevolence fleet is to try and get that EMP out. And that just completely disables the negotiator. So I use my second ability. I'm able to dispel all those debuffs on my hyena bomber. At this point I was getting a bit worried, although it was nice that I had EMP ready. So negotiator skips a turn, I'm able to drop the BLT, and I'm doing a decent amount of damage on this opposing team, although they all had undying loyalty, which was fairly problematic for me, to say the least. So I was glad that I added in Houndstooth here, just for that added survivability towards the end. And he does get to a 2nd round of bombers, although none of his ships had any more undying loyalty, and none of them had any protection. So pretty low banner win. However, more often than not, if I utilized the negotiator mirror matchup there, I probably would have lost. Considering his negotiator actually went really quickly and was able to apply both the BLT bombers, or that bomb ability, twice in the one battle. So I don't go against Radis very often in my fleet arena, or TW for that matter. So this was really my first Radis battle in months. So the idea was to get rid of Poe really quickly and try and get rid of Rey's Falcon before the Radis is able to apply that protection up ability. And it's looking like we're doing decently well. we got Ahsoka out and we're able to drop that Boba ship utilizing our multi-attack, and we get about 65 banners from that battle. So ultimately, probably the most smooth GAC battle I've ever had in a while. My past 3 have been quite rocky to say the least, and yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the content today. Please leave a like, comment and subscribe, and as always, I will see you on the next one.